Now, when you're looking at making an application for a tier 4 student visa, typically the documents that you require, you need to have your original passport, which needs to be submitted to the VFS. Ensure that your passport has at least a 6 months validity. You have at least 2 blank pages, and it's in reasonably good condition, so you typically don't want to be in a situation where you submit an application but they find that your passport is not in a good condition. And we've seen applications get refused because of that. So we've had clients who come to us who did an application on their own, and they thought their passport was good enough because all the pages were still there, but it didn't pass muster with the High Commission, and their applications were refused. So that could be a reason for refusal. So best you try and avoid that. Your CAS, which is your conditional acceptance, you can provide in the number. That's what you are going to need when you make this application, to kind of say that you met with all the requirements. Your university has granted you the admission to a particular course. When you're doing a visa application, it's always a good idea also to provide all the documents that you had given to the university when you got your CAS. So it just ensures that the person checking your visa application knows that you've been through, you provided all of these details. So there's no element of guesswork to say, well, we don't know how this has come through and all the rest of it. Because the Home Office is not going to look at asking you for more paperwork. Under the norms which are known as evidential flexibility. So it's not something which is mandatory from their side. So it's better that if you have paperwork, provide it across, with the visa applications. Again, just wanted to mention, if you have specific queries, keep dropping them in the Q&A box. We will keep addressing them, and that'll make it a lot more easier to take it all together at the end. Another requirement on the maintenance funds is the way in which you can meet the maintenance funds. So typically you have to show that you have the monies in your account for a consecutive period of 28 days, and the bank statement is not older than a month. So this is again a key requirement, and what applicants need to understand is that this is something which is non-negotiable. So if your maintenance fund is down by even £5 or £10 or even £1, the Home Office is not going to give you the benefit of the doubt and grant you the visas. They will look at refusing that application, because this is a requirement which is non-negotiable. It has to be met completely as it is specified. You could look at providing in evidence of your savings. So you could have a bank statement, or you could have monies gifted from your parents. That's fine. If it's from any other third party other than your parents, then you have to have the money in your bank account for 28 days. But if it's in your parents' accounts, then you could use that, providing in the evidence of your relationship. Applicants also find it easier to take education loans and provide in the evidence that the loan has been granted to them. Or you could look at official sponsorship. So official sponsorship can be either from the central government, it could be from the state government, it could be from any private bodies as well, which could kind of fall under the area of sponsorship. So we have a lot of charities or trusts which will be providing in education loans to the students. Those documents will need to clarify what is the amount of support, provide the details of the student, and if there are any conditions attached to this, or if there is any kind of requirement that needs to be met, then all of that has to be provided. So an applicant has to show that the monies are in the clear, they have complete access to these funds, and they'll be able to use it. Another kind of a rare instance, or something which is kind of not used as often, is international company sponsorship. So for example, if there's a company in India, it has a branch in Dubai, it has a branch anywhere else in the world, in any other country as well, it becomes an international company. So if the international company then provides a letter to the applicant to say that we are going to support this person's education for this particular amount, for this particular duration, then that's perfectly acceptable as well. So an international company sponsorship at times is a less well-known route of meeting the requirements. If you have any company, and this could belong to anyone, it doesn't necessarily have to belong to you or your family, or it could be from any other third party, and they have an international presence. Now, international is defined as more than one country, more than the home country. So if the company is based in India and if they've got an office in the Dubai or the US or Canada, it becomes an international company. So even if an international company says that they're going to sponsor the applicants, then that works as well. Now, generally, when we advise applicants, when we work with applications as well, we always look for the best or the most simplest route in terms of the maintenance funds. And that often tends to be bank statements. So if you have monies in a bank statement or in a fixed deposit, you could use that to meet the requirement. And that's generally the most simplest way to kind of go about it. If you are if you are younger than 18 years, you will require to get parental consent, that both of your parents are consenting to you studying in the UK, and that's something which is typically required as well. Now, so these are kind of the typical documents that one needs when one is looking at filing an application. When we look at the next section, which is what do you do once you finish your course in the UK? Well, the UK has announced a graduate route, which will come into effect from the summer of 2021. Any student completing an undergraduate or a postgraduate course during that time and graduating in the summer of 21 will be eligible to apply for a 2-year post-study work visa. So that's fantastic, because you finish your course or you're finishing your course in the summer of 2021. You could be starting your course right now in September. You could be on the course already, and you could be finishing in summer of 21 next year. You become eligible for a post-study work visa, which is valid for 2 years. If you're on a PhD program, you could get a 3-year post-study work visa, which is fantastic. You don't have to have a job offer. You can stay back, look for work, and you can find work at any level. So, this is really great stuff, because it allows you to live back in the UK, to look for any kind of work, and not necessarily linked to your course, not necessarily linked to your level of qualification. So really, it is kind of like getting a blank check to say, stay back and work for 2 years in the UK. One thing that you have to be mindful of is this is a non-settlement visa. So the time that you spend in the UK on a student visa, followed by your visa on the graduate route, all of that time does not count towards the settlement. Okay. The definition of a settlement is if you're legally in the UK for 5 years on a settlement visa route, you can then apply for an indefinite leave to remain. But all of this time on the graduate route, as well as on your student route, is not going to get you to kind of go in there, right? Also, just kind of going back again to the maintenance fund requirement, so one of the pointers that we had was, the bank statements, they have to be for a consecutive 28-day period, and they should not be more than 31 days old. So for instance, the month of August has 31 days. If you had a bank statement on the 31st of July, which showed you had the relevant money, and you were submitting your visa application to the VFS on the 29th of August, you can still use that statement. But if you were submitting your application on, say, the 1st of September, then you can't use that statement because it's more than 31 days old. So that's the distinction that I just want to clarify. Coming back again to the post-study routes. So the graduate route is fantastic. It's a 2-year post-study work visa. It used to be part of the tier 1 before, so there used to be a tier 1 post-study work visa, got abolished. Now it's coming back again. So it can only be called as a virtuous circle. So we've seen it go away. Now we've seen it come back. The startup visa is another visa that you could consider. So if you are someone who is business minded and you want to start a business in the UK, you could apply for a startup visa. So a startup visa replaces a tier 1 graduate entrepreneur. And typically it requires an endorsement from an endorsing body. So this could be your university, or there could be other private endorsing bodies that you can approach. The good part again on the startup visa is that there is no investment requirements. And if you are working on a business, you're also allowed to take up a job outside of that business. So you could do your business, or you could try your business idea, and in the parallel, you could also be taking up a job elsewhere, which is a great opportunity. Again, this is a non-settlement visa. So typically a startup visa is also granted for a maximum of 2 years. And it gives you that time to set up your business in the UK. So you could use that. You can't club one with the other. So you can't have 2 years on the graduate route and then another 2 years on the startup visa route. It's going to be one or the other, right? So these are non-extendable, non-settlement visas. If you're finishing your course in the UK and you have a great idea and you have some business experience, you can choose to apply for an innovator visa. Now, this is different to the startup in a few areas. It requires an investment of a minimum of £50,000. It requires an endorsement from an endorsing body, just like the startup visa does. However, unlike the startup visas, the universities are not the endorsing bodies for the innovator visa. So there's a separate set, or there's an additional list of endorsing bodies for the innovator visa. The innovator visa does lead to settlement. So if you are someone who's got a business idea which is innovative, which is different, you have access to £50,000 to invest in your business. This could again be your own money or money given to you by third parties. Then it might be worth for you to consider the innovator visa, because not only is this a settlement visa category, you can actually get settlement on an innovator visa in as quickly as 3 years time. So there are obviously conditions that you would need to meet, but that is possible. So innovator visa is something which is available. And also from 1st of January 2021, we will see a new points-based system coming in, which is for the tier 2 for skilled workers. And this is again going to be something which is really, really interesting, because it replaces the current tier 2 work permit program. And under the new points-based system, there is no requirement for the employers to do a resident labor market test. The kind of jobs for which you can get a work permit will come down from level 6 to level 3. So earlier, if you had to be a qualified accountant and then you could get a job, so you had to have a CA degree or something like that. But now you could be a commerce graduate and you could still look at getting a same accounting level job. So that's going to open up a lot more doors for Indian professionals. And this is a settlement route. So again, if you are on a work permit, you are a skilled worker, you can get a visa for up to 5 years, and it will kind of allow you to kind of settle in the UK at the end of that time period. So when I mentioned that earlier, that next year is going to be great for Indian professionals migrating to the UK, it's because these routes which were previously either closed down or not as readily available will now open up. So we see a definite intake in terms of student visa applications increasing to the UK, because if you're studying at a master's level in the UK, or if you're studying at at a certain advanced level in terms of the courses, you're allowed to take in your dependents with you. So you can take your spouse, you can take your kids with you. The spouses have permission to work just as you do. So it presents a fantastic opportunity, to upgrade your qualification, upgrade your skill set, and at the same time, you don't have to pay the same steep price, by not having a spouse, taking up a job or working in the UK. And when you apply for any extensions, or you switch to a graduate route or a starter visa route or an innovator route, your dependents switch those visas with you. So they have the ability to stay with you in the UK, which is really really exciting, and that really builds on that criteria. So when when we look at the tier 4 visa process, the way we work, as Surbi mentioned earlier, we have a pre-screening process where we do an initial consultation to check eligibility of an applicant to say that, whether or not you meet the requirements to apply for this particular visa. If we are able to satisfactorily assess the eligibility and we find that there are sufficient merits, we then go to the next stage, which is preparing the application packs, providing with the list of documents, checking all the paperwork to say that the maintenance funds are held correctly, the documents for the maintenance funds are there, the adequate letters of support and everything are being provided, and so just ensuring that everything is technically complete on the application. The third stage in there is the biometric appointment, where the applicants are required to visit the VFS in person, because you obviously have to give your biometrics and your eye scans. For tier 4 visas, there's also credibility interview. So when you're submitting your application, at the point in the VFS, there will be an interview, which is generally done online, through an online medium like Skype or Zoom or something on those lines, where there's someone who's checking the suitability of the person going on the course. So they will check for things like, do you know enough about your course? Is it relevant to you? What are your plans once you finish, and all the rest of it? And this also acts as a measure to check your English ability, to say that, are you able to get the hang of it? So it's not very intense, but it is something that you have to be mindful, because it does count towards your visa application. The next stage is your visa is granted. You travel to the UK within a period of 30 days to collect your biometric residence permit. In the current COVID time, they're actually offering the entry clearance for 90 days. So you have plenty of time to be able to enter the UK. And as I said, get in there 2-3 weeks in advance, open up your bank account, apply for national insurance, or register with the National Health Service, so that you're covered on that side as well. And this whole process can generally take 4 to 6 weeks, from start to finish, which is really, really efficient.